We begin with this Fox News alert. Well, they are trying to use lawfare against President Trump again, this time over the immigration agenda. An Obama-appointed judge has blocked the Trump administration from revoking the legal status of more than 500,000 people from different countries who were brought over here in that controversial Biden program where he could fly them in. It was just by the stroke of a pen. So that's where we sit now, waiting for all of this to shake out with this lawfare. It was supposed to be temporary. And after widespread fraud was found, authorities arrested several program recipients for violent crimes, including child rape. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Yesterday, the Trump administration and El Salvador president said they were not going to return the deported Salvadoran national who was living in Maryland. The White House says he has ties to MS-13, the notorious gang. Homeland Security Advisor and Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said this during a pretty intense Q&A with reporters.
It's their own citizen, right? So remember, this whole entire conversation has been wrong from the beginning because nobody was mistakenly deported anywhere. That's like the big fact that most of you have gotten wrong. No one was mistakenly sent anywhere. He is El Salvadorian. He is an illegal alien. He was deported to El Salvador. I would welcome anyone here to tell me what country they think we should be sending El Salvadorian illegal aliens to.
That's a great question. In Maryland, a jury convicted an illegal immigrant of murdering, we know, Rachel Moreno, that mom who had 5 children. President Trump posted, the illegal criminal who was allowed into our country by crooked Joe Biden was convicted of the heinous murder of Rachel Moreno, adding that the media should be focusing on the beautiful life and tragic death of the Maryland mother rather than the so-called Maryland father. The new Border Patrol numbers show the dramatic impact of Trump's border crackdown. Just last month, CBP reported 264 border encounters a day. It has gone to a trickle across our border. Look at what it was a year ago. The number was 4,488 coming across the border daily. And the president also shared his plan to deport more criminals.
Could we use it for violent criminals, our own violent criminals?
I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes.
I mean, the
homegrowns.
The ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. And push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy. Peter.
Harris, the question then becomes what laws might the president and White House officials be looking to change to have the legal authority to take Americans off the streets and send them to these inexpensive prison cells in Central America.
Is that legal to do? Is that something you're allowed to do?
Well, Jesse, these are Americans who he is saying who have committed the most heinous crimes in our country. And crime is going to decrease dramatically because he has given us a directive to make America safe again. These people need to be locked up as long as they can, as long as the law allows. We're not going to let them go anywhere. And if we have to build more prisons in our country, we will do it.
The DNC chair, Ken Martin, complains Trump wants to deport American citizens to prisons in El Salvador. That's unconstitutional, un-American, and terrifying. We cannot normalize this, speak out, and organize like our democracy depends on it, because it does. But for the time being, Trump is not on an island with this idea. El Salvador is willing to take Americans or whoever else, and once they're in El Salvador, President Bukele has no intention of letting them go, like the accused gang leader from Maryland, Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous.
And we are now awaiting word on which executive orders President Trump plans to sign early this afternoon. Harris?
He had such a great question. How would he put the guy back into the United States? Like smuggle him in? I mean, wow. Deep stuff. Peter, thank you. Republican Senator Bernie Moreno of the great state of Ohio, member of the Homeland Security and Commerce Committees, is with me now. Your reaction to this and this latest lawfare move against President Trump?
Would you ever imagine that we're sitting here debating whether we should deport criminal gang member aliens from this country? I mean, the Democrat Party's at a 21% approval rating. They could get to 0 pretty soon if they continue on this path. Look, I'm a legal immigrant to this country. I came here legally with my family. It's disgusting to watch this country reward people who skip the line, let alone criminals, people who are gang members, affiliated to terrorist organizations. And we have the radical leftists wanting to bring them more into the United States. It's insane. And look, Americans voted on November 5th for a secure border, and that's what they've gotten.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. I mean, I think Americans were pretty clear-eyed on what it means to share spaces for resources and money and all the rest. When people are in the country flowing across an unaided border, they weren't vetting. National security was in jeopardy the entire time Biden was in office.
Yeah, the more outrageous thing is that we sent private jets to Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Haiti and picked up criminal aliens, brought them into the United States, used FEMA resources to resettle them, and put them in luxury hotels here in New York City.
That part I know. So how to explain how the program was supposed to work, if you even know, because it was rather surreptitious at first.
Oh, well, it was called the CHFV program, right? Mm-hmm. It was this idea that we're going to go rescue these asylum seekers, when in reality, the leaders of these countries said, oh, my God, wait, America's sending planes to our country. We're going to empty our jails, put them in these planes, and get rid of the criminals. And that's what they did.
Oh, that's fascinating. So their governments get to decide who went on the planes?
Of course, because
wow.
if you're Maduro, you're thinking about it. American plane lands in Caracas. You're going to put your worst of your worst citizens, clean them up a little bit, maybe shave them, cover a few tattoos, put them on his plane, give them fake documents, and they get flown into America.
Senator, that is rich detail we need to know. ICE agents in Boston arrested a woman over the weekend, a previously deported Brazilian illegal immigrant, and authorities have charged her with a host of heinous crimes, including incest and aggravated child rape. The sanctuary state of Massachusetts continues to rack up scores of illegal aliens charged with or convicted of horrific sex crimes, many against children. As you can see, we're scrolling the list. It is so long. Your reaction?
I think we should put them all in Martha's Vineyard. I think it'd be a great place to put a new sanctuary place for all criminal aliens.
I think you're kind of joking.
You would see that taken care of in 2 seconds. Look, we want legal immigrants to come to this country that add to our economy, that learn English, that assimilate. The idea that you are disparaging what it means to be a legal immigrant to this country by bringing these kinds of people here is nuts. Look, the President Trump wants legal immigration, and this kind of illegal immigration has to have a zero tolerance, and Americans should unite around that concept.
I could hear you say that again and again and again. I mean, my family on my mom's side came from Haiti the right way. And what you're saying is it is disparaging those who would hope to have legacy. Like me in this country, you never know where we might go, how we might rise. Compete with people who have no intention of doing it the right way.
Or put us in the same category. You know, my mom and dad would never have imagined that their youngest son could ever be a United States senator, a kid born in Bogota, Colombia, right? That's what we should celebrate. But the idea that we bring criminal aliens here and it gives this all immigrants a bad name. Look, we want legal immigration. President Trump's been clear about that.
Yes.
What's insane is that the Democrats disparage immigrants because they categorize us the same way with people who break our laws. If your first act to come to this country is to violate our laws, it sets the wrong tone for these people.
All right, let's move to this. The Trump administration continues to look for new ways for the United States to end its dependence on China. It's laying the groundwork to add tariffs on pharmaceuticals and semiconductor imports, hoping to bring production of those goods to the United States. Well, pharmaceuticals, that is key. That's huge. President Trump also said he was considering a tariff exemption for auto parts. He laid that out yesterday during a meeting with El Salvador's president. Let's watch.
I'm a very flexible person. I don't change my mind, but I'm flexible. The end result is we're going to get to the position of greatness for our country. We lost with China over the Biden years trillions of dollars on trade, trillions of dollars, and he let them fleece us. And we can't do that anymore.
Right now, the president of China, Xi Jinping, is on a multi-day tour in Asia. He's looking to strengthen trade with other countries, and China has now suspended exports on rare earth metals that are critical to the U.S. But however, Shark Tank co-host Kevin O'Leary says America and President Trump still have the upper hand.
So there's boats on the water waiting to bring in product. There's debate about technology like Apple phones, all this stuff. she at some point has to take the olive branch that's been offered twice over the weekend by Trump and say, okay, let's start talking. Everybody thinks, oh, he's got the leverage of selling T-bills. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have that leverage. That's just pure economics. If you study FX, you know if he starts dumping T-bills, dollar goes down, his currency goes up, and he's virtually screwed.
So, Commerce Committee, Senator Moreno, you've been to China. What really puts pressure on China, and where do we start first, benefiting us?
When the president of China starts to see unemployment in his country, that's going to be a panic mode for him. The reality is China is a massive exporter. They don't consume the products there. They need the rest of the world. The largest marketplace is the United States. And look, President Trump is right. China has been screwing us over for 50 years. Taken advantage of us, stolen our intellectual property, sent base chemicals to Mexico that turns into fentanyl, killed 100,000+ Americans every year. How can we let that go on? I think we should be uniting behind President Trump and fighting and pushing back against China. We need to bring back semiconductors, autos, steel, pharmaceuticals, and energy. Totally independent on those.
I have a crisp view on pharmaceuticals. Diabetes, all sorts of cancer drugs, all those things that we felt this in the pandemic. We were dependent on China. I don't want to overblow it, but in some cases to keep us alive. Your last take about what I would call pharmaceutical independence that needs to happen now.
It's an existential threat to Americans. I think it's a national emergency. We can bring it back really quickly. You're already starting to see that. And thank God President Trump's doing this.
Senator Moreno, thank you for being here in person, no doubt. Good to see you.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.